Can you share the story behind the founding of KidneySolutions.org and what inspired you to start this journey?
Well, I had a kidney transplant. My brother gave me a kidney 37 years ago. Well, actually, April 30th of this year will be my 37th anniversary with his kidney. And I'm an RN by trade. I've been in 40 years as an RN, and I spent a lot of time working with the doctor who worked with me with some of his patients, and I just got a love for it. And since I've retired in the last 4 years, I've been doing it totally. That's all I do is kidney solutions work. We're a mentoring organization, okay, not a donor search company, and we're totally free. Everything, all of our services are free. There are no fees entered, or there are no bills sent to the patient and or the donor or any of the family members. We're totally free. We operate solely on individual donations and grants, which we've been blessed to have a couple of grants that have really helped us. So all the money goes back with the patient. I didn't have a mentor. I was fortunate to have a good doctor, a nephrologist who was a very close friend and is still a friend. And he helped me through this journey. And I just felt that I needed to be doing this. I was called. There's no doubt in my mind.
Like you mentioned, you're not a kidney donor business. You really get involved in people's lives in order to help them to make the connection. I want you to elaborate on that a bit, if you would.
There's a tremendous amount of fear when a person gets diagnosed with kidney disease. And there's no doubt in my mind that fear is overcome by education. And if you can mentor or line up with an individual who's gone through this journey, as I have over right now, nearing 50 years, it's a godsend to have somebody like that you can call, which anybody who is a friend of Kidney Solutions, a friend of mine. You call me, leave a message, I'll get back to you at some point in time. So it's an overriding urge of mine to make sure that people have a voice. They have kidney disease. It's horrible. All right. It's unrelenting and it can be very, very debilitating. And I want to take some of that out by taking some of the pressure off a donor and a pressure off a recipient. If I can do that, then my job's done.
What are some of the misconceptions about kidney donation, and how does your organization address them?
The biggest one is that it's very difficult. I mean, it changes your health. It doesn't. A lot of studies have been done just in this realm. If you give a kidney, you operate with one kidney, as is my experience with my brother. He's done well with one kidney for 37 years because I've had his other one. And so that's a common myth that it ruins your health, or you have a potential not to have children. You have the potential not to be have the ability to work. There's all kinds of myths out there about giving it, and it's just not true. Your kidney, if you're going to be a donor, will not be taken from you if it will jeopardize your life. There's no way. There's no transplant team in the world, in the United States, that will take a kidney from an individual and put them at risk, whether it be now or later in life.
Can you just share a successful story, particularly one that resonates with you or has been pivotal for your organization?
And I've had so many. Um, just the mere fact that I can work with someone who's in the beginning has no idea what kidney disease is. They've been told that their kidneys are failing and they feel differently. Although you take a look at Ron here, just go look in his eyes. You tell me if you know if there's that this man has kidney disease. There's no way you can know that. It just doesn't happen.
Can I
You
just
walk
say
around.
something? Let me say
Go
this,
ahead. No,
Kent.
go ahead, please.
No, really, I just did a podcast with Jay, and did I not say this, Ron? I'm going to ask you a vulnerable question. I say because someone like me watching this will look at you and think, I'm going to keep my kidney. There's nothing wrong with you. Did I not say
Absolutely.
that? And I said, you need to explain to, all I'm saying is I got chills because Kent was not on that call when I just said that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That is
You
the
are on
biggest.
it. You
That
are
is the
rolling.
biggest myth, that there's nothing going on with the folk like Ron. Well, there is a lot going on. You can't see it because it's internal. And I have to be very straight and forward here. When you have kidney disease, it's always advancing. It never stays quiet. It never goes away. It's always advancing. And when that advances, that means everything in every organ in your body is affected. Your kidneys affect every single organ: your heart, your liver, your lungs, and all of the misinformation out there is there's all kinds of things on the market that you can take that'll cure kidney disease. Let me just tell you one truth: there is no cure for kidney disease. Transplant isn't a cure. Dialysis isn't a cure. They're treatments. What we have for kidney disease is treatments. There is no cure. Trust me, if there was a cure, I'd have had it already.
That's powerful. I mean, that's truly when God does miracles, he does miracles and he can do miracles through different ways. And one way is getting that donor transplant. Thank you for just really just looking into that camera and speaking to that myth and that misconception. I'm just going to let you have the floor, Kent, because you're on the roll. I'm
Well,
just
let's
here.
let's let's work with Ron right now. Let's look him in the face. Your viewers get to see him, even if you can. If you experience any problems, Ron has kidney disease. He didn't ask for this, and a vast majority of the people in the country with kidney disease are black or of color, if you will. All right. I will tell you there's a problem in the whole concept of, well, he looks okay. He does. I grant you. And he looks in the mirror. He really doesn't see it. But there's one thing about your body. It always will make an adjustment. That adjustment's always made for survival. All right. There's no reason for you to change the way you're functioning because your body does it for you. Although with kidney disease, it's a matter of survival. Your body changes to meet survival. And that's dangerous, very dangerous. Because as it goes on, if he doesn't get a kidney, and dialysis, it's just a foregone conclusion that if you're on dialysis, your time is ticking away. All right. Yes, a lot of people can stay on dialysis for years and years and years. His reserve, the amount of energy that he has, he'll tell you, because I've experienced it, it's zero. You overcome it because your body allows you to do it, but it gets to a breaking point. At some point, your body's going to break. Your heart's going to go into failure. Your kidneys are already in failure. I can tell you, when you get a kidney transplant, it is a confirmation that God exists. Totally. He does. And he mandates that after you've had a transplant, that you will care for that kidney because it's no longer yours. You're operating on borrowed equipment. And that borrowed equipment is gracious and sacred. And then that's what we do at Kidney Solutions. We work with them after they get the transplant. We want them to keep that kidney for as long as possible. All right. As you go along on this journey, every kidney patient's going to have a bump. You have bumps in your life anyway, even if you don't have kidney disease. It's just manifested and magnified when you have kidney disease because it's harder to cope with it. Mentally, emotionally, physically, your body adjusts. But like I said, as it adjusts, it takes its toll. So we need somebody to step up. All right. And I say this from the bottom of my heart. You can do this. You can step up and give Ron one of your kidneys. You don't need both of them. Just don't need both of them at all. And once you do get that, he gets that kidney, he's going to pay it back. He's going to make sure that everything he does is in the wholeness of God because he has a new life. He has a life right now that's struggling, and he needs a kidney donor. That's the bottom line.
That is the bottom line.
Waiting is a word that you hear a lot. You'll hear it in the doctor's office all the time. Well, we want to schedule you for this, or we want to schedule you for that. We want to do this, we want to do that. But you get scheduled. There's always a matter of waiting, because wait just means that you can't get it done now.
Right.
And I can tell you, your biological clock with kidney disease is short and it's quick. And when you have a chance to get something done soon, you need to strive for that. That's why I ask my patients very carefully. When they tell you it's going to be a couple months before they can get to it, find some place that they can do it right away. They're out there. You don't have to stay in that glide path where you go by what somebody tells you they're going to do for you. You need to do for yourself. You need to be conscious of the fact that if you don't, there aren't many people out there that are going to grab hold of you and hug you and say, here, let's do this. They're going to say, okay, we can get to you in a couple months. Nope. Nope. Not going to happen. I need it now. I need it now. There's got to be a sense of urgency, because if you don't have that sense of urgency personally, you're going nowhere. You're just going to vacillate in this illness, and there's a way to fix it with a transplant.
Let me ask you, if someone's watching and they're compelled to want to give that kidney and they don't really know, what's involved in that process, what would you say to them? You know how to walk people through the process. What does that look like, Kent?
First, it takes a call. You have to say to yourself, I want to look into this. I'm going to pray about it first of all. No matter what faith you are, you're going to pray for, acceptance number one and guidance number two. We can give you the guidance. We can do that. All right. So give me a call. You call my personal number, 830-285-2140, and we'll have a talk about it. And I'll refer you. I'll get you connected with somebody who has given a kidney. If it's not my brother, it's going to be Shannon Mulroy, who works with me at Kidney Solution. She gave an indirect donation to a stranger, both her and her husband, because they couldn't give to their daughter who had kidney disease. That enabled them to start a chain right away where somebody got a kidney and they were taken off the wait list. In our case, we specialize in living donation. We don't turn anybody away. If somebody calls me and says, I want to donate a kidney, I'll walk them right through it. I'll tell them what the complications could be, but I'll heavily emphasize that nobody will be taken as a donor if it jeopardizes their life.
That's awesome.
So you have to live with that. There's no transplant program, as I said before, that will take a kidney from someone and it would jeopardize their life, whether it be right now. So you're going to get the best possible physical examination you could ever have or ever pay for to become a kidney donor. And if you're accepted as a donor, boy, you're in an elite group. But the best thing to think about is after that transplant has occurred, the individual, as a case like Ron's going to flourish. Ron's going to have twice the energy, maybe more, and it'll start almost immediately the minute he's transplanted, when he wakes up from surgery.
Wow.
It will begin a new life for him, but it won't be lost on Ron. I've gotten to know Ron. There's no way in the world having a kidney transplant has any disadvantage to it. There's none.
Okay. I want to ask you too, if you could just give us some advice about how to partner. How do people partner with healthcare facilities? How does that work? What is the connection there?
Well, we try to take when I say we, at Kidney Solutions, we try to take the pressure of you having to talk to a potential donor.
Wow.
I think the most difficult thing is when somebody asks a recipient, like Ron, if they had asked them the question, well, Ron, how long am I going to be out after surgery? Ron doesn't know.
Right.
He may have an inkling or an idea. We know. We know how long will it take before I can drive, right? How much pain is involved during the surgery? How do they do the surgery? He's going to get a multitude of questions.
Okay.
Ron's not equipped to answer those questions. We are. Okay.
Awesome. I know that you have a podcast, and I want to plug that because I listen to it. So if you haven't tuned in to Kent's podcast, can you give us the name of the podcast? And they'll really learn a lot from the podcast itself.
Type in the browser Kent, KENT', Kidney Stories, and it will pop up right away, and it goes to up wherever podcasts are broadcast, like Libsyn and Apple, and there are a multitude.
Okay.
Everywhere. what's good about our website or our podcast site is that it gives you a synopsis. You don't have to roll through and just go by name and look at every one of them. You can say, oh, this one with Amy Makovic, looks like she's had a heart transplant, a kidney, and a liver transplant.
I
I want to
heard
listen to
that
it.
one. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to listen to that one. Okay. Well, all you do is pop it, click the link, and away you go. Now, I have a penchant for talking. I love to talk. I love to listen to the people's stories. And so these are not your typical podcast routine, 20 minutes here.
Right.
Some of them go as much as an hour or more.
Yeah.
So you may have to listen to it, but you can listen to it at any time. It's always there.
You're not going to be bored. It's definitely going to give you just back to back great information in more of a realistic way. It doesn't sound mechanical or like someone's reading
Thank you.
from, a teleprompter. It is very real. It's a conversation, to be quite honest. It's a conversation. And so I want to ask Ron, if you could jump in here, Ron, tell us
Yeah.
what impact did Kent have on your life or has had on your life?
He's has provided so many incredible answers, and he's absolutely right. I didn't know anything about kidney disease until this happened to me personally, and I didn't have any idea about DaVita or about the entirety of it. And so I listen in on Kent's. Kent has a Zoom meeting each Monday evening, and I've been listening for the last 2 months, and it's just a wealth of knowledge and information I just enjoy so much. And he's an expert. I look up to him. I have so much respect for him. He's just a real support system, a real mechanism to learn about kidney failure. So I listen as much as I can, and I'm still listening, and I just enjoy listening to him. He's a wealth of knowledge and experience.
Yeah, my wife says I can talk like a racehorse. She says you got speed to burn. But it's knowledge. It's gift. It's a gift. People,
Yes.
God's given me a chance to work with people like you, Ron, and I honor that. That's very important to me now, especially at the end stages of my life. I'm 74 years old, right? And I'm going to do this. I'm going to draw my last breath doing this, and God's intentions are for me to do it. And so you're the one that's going to be a success at this. It's going to happen.
That's what I loved about Kent when we were going back and forth, texting each other. Just because I'm full of energy. I'm full of like, let's go take the bull by the horn. And Kent met my energy because Ron would tell you when they started talking about this, I was like, what? Why am I the last one to hear about this? Let's get this moving. We're going to do this. I mean, I've got amazing ideas. I done already reached out to a celebrity to help give us a theme song. We have to put kidneysolutions.org on the map even more because we need people to have this information. Like you mentioned, if someone dealing with this, they don't know what to say to the people. So a lot of times people don't even push forward because they feel so overwhelmed. Can you share with us, Kent, any particular person that reached out to you that you could see that they were overwhelmed and you were able to kind of walk them through the process, do the advocating for them, things of that nature?
I got a call from a gal one evening, early in the evening. She said, "Is this Kidney Solutions?" And I said, "Yeah, all of me is here. Can you tell me what you need?" And she said, "Well, I've got a very close friend of mine who lives in Houston, Texas, and he needs a kidney. He's going on dialysis and he needs a kidney." And I said, "Well, I come to Houston a lot. I have grandkids in Houston, so let's set up a time and I'll meet you." Well, I did, and we met in a Denny's Cafe in Houston, Texas. She came in. They were sitting there when I came in, all right? And I knew right away which one of them they were just by her voice, right? When she said, "Mr. Bressler," and I said, "Yeah." I met a man by the name of Steve Bundage, and I can say that with impunity. He's a very, very dear friend. And I have been worked with him for 8 years. We worked tirelessly to find him a donor. It did not work out. He had family members. None of them met the bill to be, they were sick themselves. We had, I think, in excess of 20 potential donors at one point in time. None of them worked out. And then every time I would get a call, I would say, listen, you have no reason to despair. God has all of you in mind. He's going to make sure you get your kidney. You just got to keep the faith. And he did, and he's solid in his faith. He would call, and then he called me one afternoon, late in the afternoon. He said, they've got a kidney for me. And I said, why are you calling me? Have you not accepted that kidney? And he said, yeah, but what do? I said, get in your car and go to the hospital. And when you get in bed, when they cover you up and they start working on you, give me a call. And then we'll work through it. And today, right now, I was watching here. I got a text from him. He's having a little bit of difficulty, right? We're going to be on it. He's in the hospital. Everything is going to be fine. But he called me to say, I'm okay.
Let me just ask, and I think this is so important. You mentioned all of the donors, and walk us through some of the things that don't go straight to the surgery, because someone like me are thinking, oh, the first person that steps up, that's got to be the kidney. How does that really work? Because we don't know.
You have to be a match. You have to have similar blood type, same blood type, and you can't have any antibodies. Or you have to have what they call a small or short PRA. In other words, the percentage of antibodies in your system is not bad enough that would jeopardize you being a donor. The whole thing is that you may have something going on with you, right? You may not even know. You may have a hidden diabetes. You may have a hidden blood pressure issue. You may have a hidden heart condition. There are many, many things that without a really good, thorough exam, you wouldn't know about.
Wow.
So we found people that have had cancer, all right, that were going to be donors, and they found out that they had cancer and were able to treat. So just saying you want to be a donor means only one thing, that you can apply to test and you can start testing. And the farther you go in the testing, the better you are. Okay. And that's how it really works. Okay. And it's a matter of constant belief that you will be the donor. If you're going to do it, don't say one thing and then vacillate and quit on it. You got to realize that there will be pain involved with it. You also have to know that you're going to go through extensive, time-consuming preparation to see whether you're healthy enough to give a kidney up.
Which is a good thing.
To give it up. Yeah. Again, I can't extract. It will not be taken from you if it's going to jeopardize your health.
Good. That's good to know. I think that's definitely a plus, and comforting to know that, because when you mentioned before about people not really even knowing some of the underlying diagnosis, just having this done can even save your life as far as you discovering some things that you didn't even know that was going on. I think it's a win-win situation. Let me ask you, are there any commonalities that you've experienced with your vast experience, been doing this for so long? Have you noticed any common things about donors? Like, are there anything that you notice that is kind of common across the board, amongst donors, that you can just kind of identify?
A willingness to do it. I believe, like Shannon does, our donor advocate, that it's inside you. It's a pull at your heartstring that says, I've got to do this. Right. This isn't about him or her. It's about me doing what I need to do for this person.
Like a calling.
It's absolutely a calling. You hit it right on the head. God does. We have a saying at Kidney Solutions: don't look for a donor, because God sends them. All right. That donor's out there. You just know he's out there. Yeah. God will choose the time in which he will send that individual to you. It's only a matter of time, but it's his time. And unfortunately, everybody really like to get one right now. And I know Ron would like to have one tomorrow afternoon at 2:00 if he could get it. Right. But you don't go in the hallway down and look up on the shelf and grab one off the shelf and give it to you. That doesn't work. Right. So
let me ask you this, and before, because I could, this is going to be a series, so we're going to have plenty of these conversations. And I'm going to pick some of the information that I've saw on your podcast to kind of make it into, kind of a never ending story, things that you
I
can
hope
come back
so.
on and oh, absolutely. One of the things I want to ask you, Kent, if you could, can you talk about once Ron gets the kidney, once he is on the other side of this and he gets the kidney, what are some of the first things that you would tell people who may have gotten kidneys and didn't even know that they should be doing in order to take care of themselves? That was something that really struck me when you mentioned about being a good steward basically over that kidney. What are some of the important things you can think of that people need to know, not just get the kidney, but they need to be able to have to do? And what is life like in terms of seeing a doctor and all that stuff after you get the kidney?
You need to follow a regime, a really strict regime of taking your medications, knowing everything about everything you put in your mouth. You need to be able to know what each one of those medicines does, why it's given to you, and what are the side effects of it, because they all carry side effects. But the most important thing is that you got to where you are because you were under medical care. If you feel so good that you don't think you need medical care,
Oh,
sorry, that's not the case. You have to see the doctor when they want to see you. You have to follow the doctor's instructions to the T because they're the ones that are trained and have the experience to put you on this path. If you get off of that path, we call it getting out of your lane, you're in a ditch or you're running into traffic, it doesn't do you any good.
mm-hmm,
You will feel so much better,
mm-hmm,
okay? So much better, but you have to have an elongation of this whole process, and you can't do that without medical supervision. Just
right.
can't happen.
Excellent. And have you I know you said you've been living with your kidney for over 35 years. Um what is the prognosis of someone who gets a living donor versus someone has passed away?
Okay, so we call that a deceased donor. They used to call it quote a cadaver, but that's a medical term which we don't use now, right?
Okay.
This is a living organ that's given to you, all
Okay.
right? It's living, it's alive, or they wouldn't be able to implant it, put it in. And if you think about it, you would ask somebody who donated a kidney, as for my brother, he'd do it again. He would do it in a heartbeat because he was committed to the fact that I needed it. So
Okay.
if you commit yourself to the fact that Ron needs a kidney, which
Mm-hmm.
he does, and you want to step forward and you want to call, we'll make darn sure that you get all your questions answered and you won't go in blind.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one you go in blind, that those are the kind of folks that they get cold feet and say, I don't want to do this. And
Right.
it's happened right up to the last minute. But I
Right.
can tell you what, you start early with a person and wipe out all of those bad thoughts
Right.
and misconceptions, you got a winner. All right. You got a good starting pitcher there.
Ron, I want to ask you, when Kent came into your life and you met him, kind of walk us through just some of the relief that you felt because he's very direct, he's very candid. Did he kind of bring you into reality of the things that you need to make haste and do? Just kind of share what that was like once you start working with Kent.
Well, Ken is just a wealth of knowledge, and he has been through this entire experience personally, and he's gathered so much information and is willing to share what he knows. And so you can trust Ken. I mean, you can believe in him and you can listen to what he says. And he's so valuable with his information, and he's so spot on. And Ken will tell you that I've actually I've actually listened in on his Zoom calls, and you wouldn't even know I was there because it's just a wealth of knowledge. I'm just listening. I'm just,
What is that
I'm just.
like? You've mentioned that before. Tell us
Why
what
don't
are
you
the
come
Zoom
on?
calls
Why
like?
don't you come on? Be our guest and come on.
Oh, I will do that. I sure
I'll
will.
At 6 p.m. and I just come on and I just listen, and it's just a wealth of knowledge. People with their personal experience, their questions, their experience, and what they understand. And if you will listen, you will walk away with a wealth of knowledge that you didn't have before. It's just an incredible source of information.
Kent, do you have a book?
I'm working on one, but I've been working on it for 10 years.
You need to get that book done. We need to get
It
it
is,
done.
you know what's so interesting about this whole project is I can't get to everybody. I want to get to everybody. I can't. I can't do it. But I can tell you, having an encounter like this will be life. You'll remember this. I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I know Ron will. I know Ron already knows in his heart. He knows what he has to do. We just need a willing individual out there that'll step up. Somebody that'll give us a call.
Yeah.
You want to call Ron if you're a janitor in the building.
Yeah.
If you're a CEO, if you're a secretary, if you're a co-worker, and he tells you he needs a kidney because his had failed and he's on dialysis, then the first thing in your mind is, I'm going to pray about it, I'm going to think about this. And if I don't feel like I want to give a kidney, at least I can tell other people about it. Right. Ron needs it, he needs a kidney. He needs it now. He doesn't need to wait. He can't wait. He's got to have it now. Because every day that goes by, this kidney disease takes its toll. We want to do it now. Let's expedite this whole thing and just step up. That's all you got to do is step up.
We're asking you right now. I mean, that
absolutely.
He's looking directly at you and saying, "Hey, this is what we need." And I love it, Kent, because that's what we need. This isn't just to have a party and get on and talk about stuff. You're right. We've got to stay focused. The fact of the matter is, we really need to stay focused and say, "Hey, if you're sitting out there, you're watching this, wherever you're watching it from, please step forward. Don't continue to procrastinate, lay back, come forward, because we need the kidney today."
12 people die waiting on the waiting list for a kidney a day. 12 a day. All right? Ron isn't begging you for anything.
Right.
Ron is a superhuman who's working through a tremendous illness. You have the solution. You can step forward, give one kidney up, and live a healthy life for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. My brother and I have been on it for 37.
That's a long
time. I know a woman who gave a kidney to one of my very good friends. They're out 53 years. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And I didn't answer one of your questions about longevity, because it is important. Nobody wants to have that. Sometimes it does happen quite a bit, matter of fact, where you get a kidney and it doesn't last very long. And it's not really any fault of yours. It can be a disease process.
Okay.
But here's the key. If you get a deceased kidney, the numbers that they apply to this statistically are 10 maybe 15 duration before you would have difficulty with it. With a living donor, 20 to 25, or in my case, like more, right? Wow. So there is a difference between a deceased and a living donor.
That's a huge difference.
Big, yeah. And here's the deal, and you can take this to the bank. If you get a deceased kidney, that buys more time for you to remain healthy, heal your body up, and be ready if you need to have two. Because there are several people that I know of that I've worked with that have had 2 and 3 kidneys.
Okay? Now let me ask you: do they stay listed, or do they have to go through the whole process again?
They go through. You have to go back in and go back through. But by the time they've realized this, the saying is where we're coming from, and I probably will get some slap on this. I'll get face slapped about it. You don't pass up a kidney. Mm-hmm. If it's offered to you, they're not offering you a kidney. They're offering you a viable kidney. Mm-hmm. With no guarantees. Mm-hmm. But if you pass that up to wait for a living donor that's not there, it's not in hand yet, you run the risk of losing valuable health time. I call it health time.
Wow. All right. That's a good way to look at it.
So we never, ever turn down a kidney unless there's some specific things that you don't feel are right for you. You, as a patient, Ron gets to make the decision. Not
Okay.
anybody in his family, not the doctors. It's offered to him. He gets to make the decision. And
Okay.
what better way to have a chance than to have a mentor that can support him in his decision?
Absolutely.
Right.
You don't
Absolutely.
look back. If you want to look back, there's no way that you're going to gain anything but in the way of survival looking
Mm-hmm.
back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you stay in the focus of today and think, when it happens to me, if something happens after I've had my transplant, we'll deal with it. Don't anticipate. And I say this every Monday night. Don't anticipate problems.
Right.
Deal with problems when they occur.
Right. I agree.
Live. You've had a transplant. Now live.
I
Live.
agree.
Live your life to the fullest. And I
Yeah.
tell you what, we've got some folks on Monday nights that are living to the fullest. We have a man on there. His name is Armand Halter. He's from Connecticut. He
Okay.
was transplanted 20, well, it'll be 28 years now. He had two baby kidneys, deceased. The baby had died, and they put those two kidneys in him. And he's
They can
still,
do that. Oh, wait. Say that again. Hold on for 1 second. My earpiece is trying to come out. Oh, say that part again about the baby
he,
kidneys.
he had two young, one a lady, a young child died. I think it was 7. I'm going to say 7 years old.
Okay.
And instead of putting one, they used both because they were smaller. Okay. I
Wow.
did a podcast with him, two podcasts actually. He's a very close friend. Those kidneys have grown with him. He's had them for 27 years.
I didn't even
27
know
years.
that was possible. I didn't even
Oh,
know
it is.
that.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah. Anything is possible in this world. We just had a man walk out of the hospital with a pig kidney.
Now, what are your thoughts on that?
I love it. I,
And how
I,
long?
I wish you could ask him that question. I want to ask him. I want to podcast him. I want to ask him
Is that
straight up.
new?
Brand new. Just happened, what, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago?
Wow. That was my next question about technology. Like
Yeah.
what has developed since then?
Well, there you
Really?
go. Yeah, this is huge. The company is called eGenesis. Okay. I was fortunate enough to get to testify with the FDA. They asked me the same question. What value would this be? It's outside the box. That's a misnomer. That's research. This is a chance to allow a person like Ron a chance to make a decision that he would want to do this. All right. And I
Wow.
can tell you what, it's coming. It's going to take a while now to do clinical trials, but this whole field is exploding now. And I've lived with my condition for nearly 50 years. And just in the last 7 to 10 years, it's gotten a whole lot more active in the research area.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
So
That's
my
really
answer to
amazing.
you is bring it on. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well,
But
listen.
give the patient the option.
Yeah.
Let them make the decision. They don't want to mess with it, fine. They
Right.
go on with life. But if they choose to do it, then support them and help them I would just love to get my hands on this guy.
Wow. Well, Ron, yeah, look at this, Ron and Kent. You never know what's possible because I can tell you that just having this conversation today has opened up my eyes enormously. There was a lot of things that I just did not make the connection to. I was a disconnect in some of the understanding, and you have helped to connect those dots for me, Kent. I'm going to leave the last words with both of you. I want to just have you all to just say whatever you need to say to my audience. I want them to be able to kind of appreciate the collaboration. I want to end this particular segment. Let me put it this way. Next time, we're going to do a live um, podcast so that people can actually ask questions in real time. We're going to do it on LinkedIn. That is my preferred live stream. Also, we'll be streaming it from YouTube. We're going to have people to sign up to let us know that they want to participate. So we know that we have certain people that want to ask questions at Kent and questions to you, Ron. So when we do the live one, we're going to do it on Instagram. We're going to do it on LinkedIn, and we're going to do it on YouTube. Those are my 3 favorite social media platforms, because I want people to be able in real time to speak to someone like Kent and to speak to someone like you, Ron, and get their questions answered. And thank you both for being a part of this episode. I want to ask you, Ron, if you would look into the camera and just really share your heart with a potential donor and what you need them to understand by communicating it directly to them.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this podcast, Humility. And let me just say to anyone that's listening, anyone that's watching, you know, I would ask you to pray about it, go to the Lord in prayer, and ask if it's God's will that you be a gift of life. And after you've had a prayer, to consider giving me the gift of life, and consider the power of your kidney, and call Kent on Kidney Solutions. And I'll ask Kent to give us the number again. Call Kent, and he'll provide any answers you possibly could possibly ask. He'll have an answer for, and he'll be able to satisfy any questions you may have. And Kent, what's that Kidney Solutions phone number again that anybody across the country can reach?
830-285-2140.
And if
Great.
you're watching, you can see the link right now, or you can click on it and go directly to kidneysolutions.org as well. Kent, I'm going to let you give a message as we sign off for this episode that I believe will be lasting and memorable for those that tuned in today.
If you're listening right now, you got a headset on, or if you're looking in the camera and you're trying to figure out what's going on in the world, I know exactly what's going on. Ron is not the only individual that needs a kidney, but Ron is who we're talking about right now. Ron needs a kidney donor, someone to step up. You want to do it anonymously? You don't want him to know? Give us a call. We can facilitate that. If you want to know how to register and become a potential donor for Ron, call that number and we will work on and getting you to the right spot and as quickly as possible. We're tired of waiting here, folks. We need to move on. Ron really needs to have a kidney transplant ASAP, as soon as possible. If you don't believe it, trust me, I'm going to tell you right now, he does. And there's nothing I would enjoy more in this world than for you to call now or anytime. And if I don't answer, leave a number so I can get back to you. Name and number. And I guarantee you, this man will have success. But it's a matter of you coming forward. So now's the time. And thank you so much for having me on tonight. It's been a blessing.
I just want to say to both of you, Kent and Ron, you have definitely touched my heart, enlightened me tremendously about this issue in our country, in individuals' lives. And I just want to say thank you for all the work you've done, Kent, in this space. Ron, thank you for sharing your story and giving me the opportunity to be, a part of your journey, because I know, as Kent mentioned, somebody out there is called to do this. And I just want to say thank you in advance, Lord, because I know that you have that kidney. Thank you so much to both of you. And I just want to say this is the beginning, the first episode of many to come, until we are celebrating that Ron has gotten his kidney. Thank you again.